The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
But do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Amateur Traveler, episode 951. Today, Amateur Traveler talks about waterfalls and whale watching, geothermal fields and craters, spas, and a Eurovision museum as we take a road trip to Northern Iceland. This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler. Let's talk about Iceland. I'd like to welcome to the show Monika from PlanPackExplore.com, who's come to talk to us about Northern Iceland. Monika, welcome to Amateur Traveler.
Hi, Chris. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
And what is your connection with Iceland? Why are we talking about Iceland today?
I'm a self-proclaimed Iceland lover. I went there for the first time in 2022, but accident, which is a long story, but we ended up in Iceland and literally after 6 days started planning the second trip. Then we went back. I went back the third time with my dad, trying to show him the country. Now we're planning trip number 4. I cannot get enough of Iceland. So I was pretty familiar with Iceland by now, and I'm happy to share what I know.
Excellent. And that is not an Icelandic accent we're hearing, just so people know.
No, it is Polish accent you're hearing. I grew up in Poland and now I'm in the US.
It's a subtle Polish accent. I can hardly hear it anymore. Excellent. And why should someone go to Northern Iceland?
It is definitely an underrated location. It is like an underappreciated cousin of the South Coast where everybody goes, but it's just as beautiful. It's more remote. It's less crowded. It is absolutely worth a stop on the itinerary. So I highly recommend visiting there. And you see some stuff in Northern Iceland that you just won't see on the South Coast. So definitely a good place to try to plan for the trip.
Excellent. What itinerary are you going to recommend for us?
Obviously, from the US, we're going to fly to Keflavík Airport, the only international airport in Iceland. And then from there, we have to make our way up north. So there's 3 ways we can do this. You can fly, not from the international airport. You would have to fly out of the domestic airport. It's about an hour to the domestic airport in Akureyri. I should mention that's the other city of Iceland, and they call it the capital of the north of Iceland. So that's really the only other big city besides Reykjavík. So that's one way of getting there. The other way, you can drive following the ring road. That's about a 5-hour drive with no stops. Or you can do what we did. You can rent a car, and only for the summer. This itinerary would be for the summer vacation. You can cut through the highlands of Iceland, which is the interior, uninhabited region of Iceland, only open in the summer months from about mid-June to probably mid to end of October, September. And that's what we did. And that's a really exciting drive. It takes you through the landscapes you just don't see anywhere else. And then there's an amazing stop in the middle, which I will get to. And so that's the way I would do it, because it adds a lot of fun and amazing scenery to your drive.
Cool.
North.
And that's the itinerary we're going to talk about. So where do I go first?
So first you're going to rent a car. So I usually try to do it right from the airport. We use Blue Car Rental, but there's a lot of other companies you can use. But for this itinerary, make sure you rent a 4x4 vehicle.
Okay.
And so we had a Toyota RAV4, which was fine if you can get a bigger car. I don't know how big your group is, but I would say no smaller than that, just because you'll be driving on what's called an F-road, which is a mountain road. That doesn't mean it's steep. You're not climbing any mountains. You're just driving on an unpaved, gravel, bumpy track, and you want to have some ground clearance, and you want to have some engine.
I was thinking ground clearance was why you were saying larger vehicle.
Yes. So the RAV4 was just about, I would say, I would not go smaller than that. And also make sure when you rent a car that it is F-roads approved. We're going to be driving on road F35. It is now, I believe, renamed to just 35. So technically, for Icelanders, it's not considered an off-road anymore. But a lot of rental companies, just a hint to stay compliant, they do exclude that if you have a two-wheel drive vehicle. So just make sure you read your contract and rate the right car for this. Four-wheel drive is always a good one. So you're gonna make your way to Gullfoss Waterfall. That's where
Hmm.
the route starts. So it's about 2 hours from Keflavík Airport. You're going to drive by the Geysir geothermal area. And I mentioned that because that is where your last gas station will be before
Okay.
you make your way up out of Route F35. So you definitely want to get some gas, fill up. It is just a single pump, unmanned. So another tip, have a credit card or a debit card with a PIN. A lot of these unmanned stations need that. You don't want to just end up with no gas, or you're going to have to drive somewhere else to get it. So that is your last gas station. There's a good Gazy center with food and restrooms. It's a good stop too. But you'll have that also at Gullfoss Waterfall. That's only a few minutes up. You will get to Gullfoss Panorama Restaurant. That's where you can get some food, get some snacks for the road. There's
Hmm.
nothing else on that road. You will not have a restroom, a restaurant, a trash can, anything until you get about halfway to that halfway stop, which we'll get there. That's going to take you another hour and a half from Gullfoss.
So we're leaving the very touristy
Yes.
um, Golden Circle route
Oh,
here,
yes.
basically,
Absolutely.
at this point, and we're also leaving the tarmac or the pavement,
Yep.
and so
You're
we've
leaving
got a
the
little more
facilities.
interesting drive in the facilities. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So I recommend bring a trash bag with you because you're going to have to carry all that stuff. Bring your snacks, your water. There's food where we're going to get there in an hour and a half, but there's nowhere else to stop. There's really nowhere to stop on that road. It's not very wide enough for the two cars to pass, but you don't want to make any stops on the road unless you're absolutely alone. We were making that drive early in the morning, so we could stop here and there, but there were not that many cars. But I'm assuming midday it's going to get busier. But yeah, so you want to get all that. You want to have your food, your drinks, your gas, your bathroom breaks, and then you head out and you enter an absolute just marvelous landscape. You get mountains, you get volcanic lava fields, glaciers peeking from the distance. To me, it was something I've never seen before. So you just keep on following. You can't get lost. There's only one road. There's no intersections. There's nothing. The only thing I will say, drive slow. There's a lot of loose rocks, things like that. Not so much potholes, just loose rocks, and it's a bumpy track.
Hmm.
So be kind to the tires of your car. You don't want to get a flat tire being on an F road. And then the dust. If it's dry, it's just going to get dusty. And when the cars pass you, sometimes it's worth to just slow down, let the dust settle, and just keep going because it does get dusty. But it is just fabulous. It's a great drive. Ring Road is great, but this is just different, very different. It's an adventure. So after about an hour, you're going to get to a split of the road. You're going to leave Route F35 and take a turn to Route F347. That's about 10 kilometers, but it's more bumpy, so it's going to take you about half an hour to get there. And where you want to get is, I'm going to say this, I don't think it's a proper Icelandic pronunciation. It's called Kerlingarfjall. Probably something else in Troll Icelandic, but I just can't say that very well. But that's where you're going to get. They have a new, as of 2023, actually, brand new Highland base at Kerlingarfjall, where they have a lodge, a hotel, a campsite, like little huts that you can rent, and that's where you're gonna stay, and that's where I would recommend spending the night. That was our plan. We ended up, that backfired on us because our flight got canceled, so our trip got short one day, which forced us to drive the whole route in one day. It is doable, but if you know you can't do that, don't do that. I would have rather stayed with the original plan and just split the drive in half. So
Hmm.
that's where you have options for lodging. That's where I would stay, because that's where the most amazing area that I have ever seen in Iceland is located. It's called Hveradalir. I think that's how you say it, probably not properly in Icelandic, but that's what it is, Hveradalir. About the names too, I just want to mention there's three very similar names that always get or often get confused. There is Hveradalir, which is the geothermal area that I'm just going to talk about in just a second. There is Hveravellir, which is about an hour further north, which is another geothermal area on Route F35. And there's Ferrier, which is another area that we're going to talk about that's in North Iceland. So you want to make sure you get your letters and your spelling correct, just so that you get to the right place in the right order. So at the lodge, at the main Highland base, use your restrooms, get some food. They only serve hot meals till 3 p.m. Their lunch and dinner menu ends at 3 p.m. And then from 3 to 5, you have waffle buffet, which is great, but it's not like any solid food. So if you'd rather have a burger, you need to get that before 3 p.m. But other than that, they're very helpful giving directions. There's a map of the area there. So hopefully if you stay the night, you just get settled and then take another short drive on an even bumpier road up to that geothermal area. I will say, and that kind of saved me from turning around, the first hill is awful and then it gets better. You just take a sharp
Okay.
right at the resort and just really just bite your teeth and go through that first bumpy uphill on really loose, rocky gravel road. And past that, the views are breathtaking. The road is bumpy, but it's not bad. Just drive slow. Put in your directions, you can put parking or geothermal 4x4 parking. There are the different names, and the people in the lodge can also help you with that, because with Google Maps it changes sometimes. Some names work and some don't, but make sure you get there. And again, if you follow the road, you can't get lost. You will see it. And once you park your car, you just facing the most amazing landscape. There are not even mountains, there are just hills. It's a valley. So you go down, they built these little stairs into the hills, and they are rust colors, just kind of golden colors. When you look at different blogs, you almost think they were definitely Photoshopped. They're not. These are the real colors. We were blessed with a really nice sunny days, and it was amazing. So you just take your time, go down in the valley, follow the paths. This is an active geothermal area, so you want to follow the path. You do not want to step off the bridge. You don't want to get anywhere where you're not supposed to be. It is hot. You
Right.
see the streams bubbling. You see the steam vents, the mud pools. It's all bubbling and hissing around you. Stay on the path, stay on the stairs. And you can spend as much time as you want there or as little as you want there. We spent about a couple of hours, because I could spend more, but we knew we had to keep going because we were robbed of a day by the airline, so we didn't have as much time. But I would say 2-3 hours is a good estimate on what to spend there. And then you drive back to the lodge and spend the night. There is one more little detour if you want to take a short walk to a natural hot spring they have there. It's very small. We did take this little walk. It's about a mile. It took us about 30 minutes to get there. It's easy. It's pretty flat. And it's just cool to see. Natural hot springs in Iceland are always good to see. We didn't bathe because it was full. It literally can hold about 4 people. And
Oh,
then it
wow.
gets
Okay.
crowded. It's tiny. It's tiny, but it's a cool little detour. And then you can just go back, and they also have this new thing, which opened just last summer. They have Highlands bath. So if you're staying at a hotel, that's included in your room charge. A geothermal bath, a Blue Lagoon equivalent, right in the middle of nowhere. So that's pretty cool. Like, thinking back, I think they were building it when we were there because there was a lot of constructions going on. So you can relax there. Like I said, it's included if you're staying the night everywhere except for a campsite. If you're a camper, it's not included, but whatever other accommodation you're staying at, it's included in your stay. So that's a good way to relax after a drive and a flight and a long day. And the next day, you're going to keep going. You're going to get back on Route F35 and keep following the road all the way up north. And I think it's called Blonduos. I might butcher the name, but that's what you're going to see on the sign where you reconnect with the paved road. That will take you to Akureyri. There is a stop on that stretch too. It's called Keflavík. There is a lodge there too, and a cafe and restaurant and restrooms and a campsite and another natural hot spring. So if you want to take another stop on your way, I absolutely recommend that.
And
Did
that
take a
stop is
quick one.
before I hit the paved road.
Oh yes, it's
Okay.
about an hour from where you are right now. So an hour from Curlingarfjall.
Okay.
It's a short 2-kilometer detour on a different F-road, but the signs are there very clearly, and you can either keep going or you can take it. I recommend just looking at it because, again, it's another little hot spring. There's another geothermal area where you can hike. We were supposed to do that and do a little 45-minute hike. Again, we had to cut something out of the itinerary to catch up because of the delay, so we didn't get to do that. I just peeked at the area, and I'm definitely going back there to do more. So that's a stop if you want to break up your drive a little bit and stretch your legs. And then you're going to get to Akureyri, which is just a cute little, we call it a city. It's a town. It's very small. And that's where you're going to spend the night before you head out to the rest of the attraction of the north. There's also a hot spring there, fairly new. It's called Forest Lagoon. So if you would like to relax there, that's definitely an option. Full disclosure, I haven't been. Again, we had to cut out a bunch of stuff because our trip got short a day. But that was on my research. That was on my plan. And it went back on the plan for next trip. But it's there and it has awesome reviews, so you can check it out. Other than that, Akureyri is rather small. We had an apartment right on the main street, so there's a lot of shops and gift stores, and I know there's a botanical garden there that has good reviews. Again, we didn't get to see that, but it's there. But I wouldn't plan a whole day to spend there. It's more just to stay the night and have a home base for your day trips up north. But that's the way I would take to get to the north of Iceland, because it's exciting, it's different, it's an adventure.
When I look in the mirror these days, I see someone whose hair is thinning a bit, which is not something that I would desire. If you're running into something similar, OneSkin, the brand behind the OS1 peptide for skin, now has something for your scalp, which is OS1 Hair. It targets aging skin on your scalp, the root cause of hair thinning and shedding. Think of it as skincare for your hairline, backed by science, and designed to keep your hair looking fuller longer. OS1 Hair is the first scalp serum powered by OneSkin's OS1 peptide, which targets those aging cells, and it's scientifically proven to help your hair cells do what they're meant to do: grow fuller, denser, healthier hair. Get to the root of hair loss and thinning with OS1 Hair. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide. Get 15% off with code TRAVELER at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code TRAVELER. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support this show and tell them I sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin and scalp with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. And thanks to OneSkin for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. With plans that start at $15 a month, Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless service on the nation's largest 5G network. The coverage and speed, and sometimes the exact same towers that you're used to, but way less money. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling, literally and financially. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. In my experience, switching was easy. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/traveler. That's mintmobile.com/traveler. Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. And thanks to Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler.
So then you get to the main 2 attractions, I believe, of the north. One is better known than the other. So there's something that's called Diamond Circle up north, a scenic route, like an equivalent of a Golden Circle on the south.
Right.
So that has 2 waterfalls and a canyon and a little fishing village called Húsavík. So from Akureyri, we did the loop counterclockwise. It's about 250 kilometers total, and it sounds like a long drive, but it honestly doesn't have too many stops, and it's good to just take in the scenery on your way. So the first stop will be Godafoss, about 35 kilometers, like 35 minutes from Akureyri. So that's a waterfall, not very tall, but wide, horseshoe, very picturesque in the middle of the lava field. That's a great stop on your route. There's 2 parking lots there. You get to the west parking lot first. That has a view and a path to view the waterfall from the top, and you can see the lava field. And then you can see a pedestrian bridge, which literally is a 2-minute walk, and it will take you to the other side, the east side. You can also drive and repark your car. It's just not worth it, but it's an option. You're better off just leaving and then taking the bridge. And you can get to the eastern side of the waterfall where it has the path to go down the rocks and to get closer to the waterfall. Now, there's no warning signs. There's nothing to tell you. Don't get too close. Don't do this. Don't do that. Just use common sense. This is valid forever in Iceland. Assume you should know. So use your judgment. Really don't get too close to the water. Don't get too close to the waterfall. Just stay safe. But it's amazing. We went down there, and while it's not very tall, it's a good one to see.
And it looks like
yeah.
this is all glacial melt, because
Yes.
I'm seeing that the water is not very clear. It all has the kind of glacial flour, that bluish, greenish
Bluish,
color of the water, very opaque.
Yeah, it's probably also from just the force of it coming down. Makes it a little cloudy. But yeah, it's all glacial waters there.
Which is pretty typical in Iceland, I'd have to say.
Yep, most of it is there like that. And if you need a quick souvenir shop style, restroom break, cafe, it's there too for you. Those things are always good to mention because they are not always there. You don't always have that wherever you go. And so from there, you make your way to the other waterfall, Dettifoss. That one is about an hour from Godafoss. Also, how long to spend at Godafoss? I would say about an hour to an hour and a half just to walk around and take your time, take everything in. So Dettifoss is going to be bigger. It's a bigger waterfall. I can't find confirming information. It says everywhere that it's either the most powerful waterfall in Europe or the second most powerful waterfall in Europe. It's definitely the most powerful one in Iceland, but it's either number 1 or number 2. I kept doing research and I could not find a definitive answer, but it is powerful. Let me tell you, it's definitely, you'll see it.
And powerful, I'm assuming, is
related
to how much water per second.
Yeah, how much water per second. Yeah, I don't have the numbers for you, but it's a lot. So that also has 2 parking lots. If you have a 4x4, which you would have if you followed my itinerary, you can get to both of them. If you don't, if you follow the ring road, you just stick to the west parking lot. That's the main lot. That's a paved lot. From there, you're going to follow a path for about 15 minutes, like a dirt path between the rocks to get to the actual viewing area. Okay. You will get wet. Get your rain gear on. You'll get wet just from the mist. You're not going to get splashed by a waterfall itself, but just the mist, the pavement along the railing. There's a railing there, actually. But the pavement along there and the path can get wet. So be careful. Have good shoes on and get some rain gear because you will get wet. So,
and that seems like that's a generally useful thing, is even if I'm in Iceland in the summer, to have layers, because it might be a beautiful, wonderful sunny day, and the next day might not be, or even the afternoon might not be.
Absolutely. You want to have layers, and you want to have rainproof and windproof gear. If not on you, then with you, because you will need it. We always have backpacks with our stuff in there because you never know. You're going to need a hat. You're going to change. You're going to need to change. You just want to have that stuff with you at all times. Pack for 4 seasons every day.
Yep. Yeah, I think fall when I was in Iceland was 1 day. We went from summer weather to, I remember being on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula the next day after being shirt sleeve weather, and suddenly I was leaning into 30-mile-an-hour winds or something like that.
That seems to be a very windy area. That was one of the windiest areas we visited too, not this trip, but prior. Yeah, so you want to have your proper shoes and proper gear with you or on you at all times. So you're going to go down to Dettifoss and walk around. There's a viewpoint. You can see the whole horseshoe of it. It's just an amazing thing to see. You actually see the eastern side from there very well, and it seems like it should be so close to get there, but it's not. It takes about an hour to drive to the eastern part, and
oh wow,
we were short. Yeah, we were short. You have to make a U, like a big U, either go up north or go south to get there, and part of it is on an unpaved road, which is why you need the 4x4. That again is on my plan. We did not We were so jet lagged getting to Akureyri. We actually left. We are early risers usually, but we left later. So we had to cut something out of our Diamond Circle itinerary, and that ended up being the eastern side of Detty Foss. You can do that, but even if you just do the west part, like we did, it's amazing to see. You'll definitely get a feel for what that's about. And then the third point of the Diamond Circle, it's Aspergy Canyon. And we actually had a vote in the car. Do we do the canyon or do we do the east side of the Detty Foss? And we decided, okay, we're going to do the canyon. I know you always ask if something disappointed us in Iceland. And for me, unfortunately, that was that. I know a lot of people like it. It's definitely one of the greener areas in Iceland. So if you want to see green Iceland, that's definitely a good place to go. But for me, it just lacked the wow factor. We went. It wasn't a far drive. We went, we did the short hike on top of the canyon, but the canyon is literally just green. And I don't mean to sound dismissive of it, but from after everything else that we have seen in Iceland, we got spoiled by these wow views. And this just wasn't. There is a nice hiking trail. It doesn't take too long. It's about a couple of hours round trip. It's pretty flat. It started off pretty cool. You go along this basalt wall and you climb these cool stairs, wooden stairs up to the top of the canyon, but then you just walk. And we actually saw people coming back and they were like disappointed. We couldn't get a feel. I'm like, is it worth going there? And they couldn't really answer us. So we just went. It's nice. It's beautiful. But if you're short on time, I think in hindsight, I would have done the east side of the Detty Foss and probably skipped the canyon. There was a pond, which we were so tired and hungry at that point, we decided we're just going to go straight to Húsavík. But there's a pond called Bonstjorn Pond. That's a tough one to say. And I think that's more picturesque than where we went. We did the Ayan Trail. So I think to visitors, I would say do your research on the canyon and decide for you whether this is where you want to go. There are other hiking trails there. And this is the area steeped in a lot of like Icelandic legends. It's the hidden people. And there's a legend that the canyon was created by a hoofprint of an 8-legged horse of an Icelandic god and the Norse god.
It has a look like from the air, which of course is
Yeah.
not how you're actually going to see it.
Right.
I love the aerial photography, but it's
Yeah.
a little misleading because that's not the view you will get. It
No,
has this
no.
look of almost a big footprint because
Exactly.
it has rounded, very steep cliffs on the side,
Yeah.
going up to plateau tableland all the way around it. But of course, again, that you're just going to be at the bottom seeing these sheer drop cliffs along the
Right.
side of the canyon. But
Yeah, I'm glad we went, but that's one of the very few locations that I feel like I don't have to go back to in Iceland. So if you're short on time, like thinking back, I would have probably take my time and drive to the east side of Detty Foss instead. And
now, the one thing I'm seeing there that I don't think I've ever seen in Iceland is actual trees.
yeah, that's one of the greenest areas in Iceland that we've seen. There's actually trees, and maybe that's why we got so thrown off because that's just such an unusual sight in Iceland. But it didn't have that wow for us. And again, we probably have been spoiled because we've seen so many other things that we just expected and it just didn't happen for us. But anyways, it's good to check it out. It's good to go. Again, and for some, it might be just gorgeous. It just, for us, it was one of those things that was recommended and we're like, okay.
Okay.
And then you're just going to keep on driving. You're going to drive to Húsavík. So for us, it was a special place. We are a diehard Eurovision Song Contest fan. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I do. We've never talked about it on the show, but if you've
my goodness.
been to Europe, obviously Eurovision is a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a Super Bowl in our house.
Yeah.
So when we found out that there is an exhibition, we're like, we have to go there. So we went, and it was really cool to see. Húsavík is a tiny village. There's really not a whole lot in there.
Why is there a Eurovision exhibition in this tiny fishing village in Northern Iceland?
Because there was a movie from a few years back called Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of the Fire Saga with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. And it's about an Icelandic couple taking part in the Eurovision Song Contest. And a lot of the action actually happens in Húsavík. There's a little wooden church there that was in the movie, and there's That's the connection there.
Okay.
So we just had to go, and we wanted to make it before the exhibit closes, and so we just pushed there, skipping some of the other things. But yeah, they have the exhibit there. But if you don't like or if you don't care about the Eurovision Song Contest, they also have the Whale Museum, and of course, it's a whale watch capital of Iceland. So if you're gonna go whale watching, which I
Got
will
it.
recommend not for today, not for that day that you just did because it's a long day, but I will recommend it also to try. But that was the drive to Husavik for us. It was the Eurovision Song Contest. They sing the city song. It's called Yaya Ding Dong, and they have a bar where the Eurovision is housed, and that is called Yaya Ding Dong. So you would really have to watch the movie to see the connection. It is a fun one too. So that's the end of your day one. It's a busy day. It's a long day. I would say start early. Don't start late, and then you're gonna have a more restful pace. But drive back to Akureyri to spend the night, and then the next day you're gonna go to Lake Mývatn, and I feel like that's the most sort of misunderstood area of North Iceland because people just really associate that with just the lake or just the Mývatn nature bath, which is just a spa there that's called the Blue Lagoon of the North, and they don't really see much else around it, and there's just so much to see there. That took us the whole another day, and we still had to skip the last part because we just ran out of time. Get a good night's sleep and start early the next day and head towards the Lake Mývatn. You're going to be driving on the eastern side of the lake, and from Akureyri, you're going to start by, I'm going to say this, Skutustaragigar. I think that's how it's said. It's the area with,
I will not try and correct
oh,
your Icelandic pronunciation. I know when I was traveling with some people from Iceland for a couple days, and we were trying to say the name of the
mhm,
unpronounceable Icelandic volcano that caused all the problems of their traffic,
mhm.
they would say it, and then I would think I would say it, and they would just laugh.
No, they laugh. Yeah, they ask everyone to say that. We had a Zodiac boat tour, and the guy was actually from Poland, but he lived in Iceland, so he knew Icelandic, and he's like trying to tell us to say this, we just couldn't. Yeah, it's unpronounceable.
Yeah, the closest I got was Eofia Yokul, but again, they just laugh when they hear my pronunciation.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's pseudo craters. You can also just call it that because that's what the area is known for.
got it.
And there's an area just with they're hills. They're like little craters. They're not huge, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of them along the lake. They're housed between the Lake Mývatn and the little pond. And it's really pretty. It's another green area. North Iceland is considered very barren and volcanic, but there's a lot of green there too. So that's another green
Hmm.
area of Iceland. We can take little paths. There's a map with different trails and just walk up and down the cones and take in the view. And the view is really beautiful. You can spend as much as or little time as you want there. I will say we're by Lake Mývatn, which has a name. It's called Midge Lake for a reason. They're midges, the little flies. They're there. They
Okay.
are there. And if it's a cold day like we had and your car is warm, when you get out of the car, they'll be by the engine swarming like crazy. So we were trying to get our stuff ready and not let them in the car and not let them in our faces. Some people actually invest in bug nets. We had them, we just didn't wear them, we just ran. But don't let that deter you from visiting the lake, but just beware that they are
Okay.
there. So that's your step number one. Again, it's a very easy stop. If you want something fun to do after, cross the street into this little hot pink house. It's a creamery and get ice cream. It's called Scoote's Farm Creamery. The ice cream is out of this world. It is just the best. Ice cream in Iceland on a cold day doesn't seem like a great idea, but it was just what we needed after the walk. And then you're just gonna follow the road, and your next stop, you'll see it right from the road. There's actually a roadside parking spot. It's right by Hovde Park. This is a park, an actual park with the actual trees, but we did not go inside. We just parked along the road and saw these volcanic lava structures. It's hard to describe without seeing it. They're called Klasar, Klasar. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's just a very cool
Lava
place to
pillars, though,
visit.
basically.
Lava pillars,
Hmm.
basically, yes, covered with moss. And there's a path to walk around, and you'll see the lake on your left. It's just a pretty cool. It's scenery you won't really get anywhere else.
Hmm.
It's a very quick stop, definitely worth it. And your next one is the one that's a better known. It's Dimmuborgir, the Dark Castles, more lava pillars, more structures. It has mixed reviews. I personally liked it. You can walk and walk all day over there. We just did the red trail to what's called the church, Kirkja. But it has these lava structures. A lot of them are in the form of the caves and grottos that can actually house a human. So there is a grotto there that supposedly belongs to the Yule lads of Christmas, the Icelandic Santas. There is an arch. That one is cool because when you go up to the arch, I don't even want to try the pronunciation. Gatcalator, I believe it's called. It's a stone arch, and if you go up there on this little rocky hill, that arch, you can see your next stop, which is the Black Fervial volcano, and you can actually hike it from there, which we didn't, but that's definitely a cool view. That would be your next stop. I think it's another just kind of unusual area where with landscapes that you don't get to see in other parts of Iceland. It also has a cafe and restrooms and some facilities. So that's if you need to refuel, get some water, get some snacks, it has that there. And then make your way to that crater. Fervial looks very intimidating if you look at it. And my kids kept asking, are we really going to hike this? And I was like, let's just go see. Let's see. But I said, you have to just have this attitude. Let's see what things are because it's hard to you don't want to make a hardcore plan. So I'm like, let's drive up there and let's see. It looks very intimidating. It's basically just a black cinder cone. It's a black crater. It looks steep. It looks massive. But when you get to the parking lot, it's not that bad. And there's only one path. Just go straight up to get to the top. Takes about 20 minutes to get there, easy paced. Have good shoes and have hiking poles. There's not much grip. It's just gravel. So just take your time. And you get up there and you get to see there's no lake in the side of the crater. It's just like a mound from a landslide, but it makes it even cooler that way. And you can walk along the whole perimeter. But we didn't. We just walked around like the right side of it. That gives you the best views of the area. So we just hung out there for a bit and then hiked back on the same path. I would recommend it. It is not as intimidating. It is not a tough climb at all. It just looks at it. If you look at it from the distance, it looks massive. But when you actually get to the parking lot, it's not bad at all.
It's a lot larger than the ones where you started the day.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Which are maybe 100 feet across or so. This is a much larger scale.
It's a hike, but it's not a very intimidating mount. It looks intimidating from the distance, but when you get there, it's definitely manageable.
New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins, just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag, the one you stole from your ex, or your overpriced half a studio apartment, or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a vitamin water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
And then you're going to go to this cave. It's called Griotachia.
There's not enough vowels in that cave name. But...
No, definitely. It's a cool place to see. I did not watch the Game of Thrones, but I know it's a big thing in Iceland. There's a lot of locations where this series was created and was filmed, and that is one of them. So it's just a cave that used to be used for bathing by the locals. But then after another volcanic eruption, the water just got too hot, and it was banned. Bathing in there was banned. And then it's just, right now, it's just a nice little cave. And by the cave, you do have to scramble down some stone steps, let's say, just a few to go down and actually see it. But once you get there, it's this ice blue, bright blue water, and you can feel the heat inside. It's not big. You literally just go down. You just take a peek. Do not try to dip your hand in there. You might fall. And there's a lot of people around you. Actually, that was the only crowded place because it was so small that we encountered. And then you just come out the other end. So it's like a one-way traffic. And when you come out on the other end, you're going to find that right next to it, you see the rift. It's part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And it's pretty cool. Some people go down to the bottom of it. We just stood across it, and it's okay. I have one foot on one continent and the other foot on the other continent. So it's just a cool stop. I would say half an hour to 45 minutes there is enough. It's a fun stop. And then very close from there, just keep going. All these stops are just a few minutes from each other. So not a lot of driving between. You just hop along this path. That's where the main attraction, I believe, of the area is. It's called Føroyar. It's a geothermal area. Some people call it Føroyar Namafjall because it's at the foot of the Namafjall mountain. And you can hike the mountain, but even if you don't, if there's any mobility restrictions, you don't have to get the best of the area. There's a huge parking lot. You just go from the parking lot. There's a viewing platform. You can just take in the view of the area. You can also walk around. Again, it's a very active geothermal area. Stick to the paths. Everything is bubbling, hissing. Sometimes the pictures all is just steam because it's just so active. So you walk around. I will say, if you are sensitive to the sulfur smell,
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be
smells there.
so. Yeah.
You really don't. I've seen a bunch of, even at Caroline Garfield, which is really geothermal, like it's really active, it did not smell. That smells. Do not let that deter you from visiting because it's definitely great. But my poor son, he had to put a sweater over his nose. It just, to some people, it just gets to them. It's the definition of the redneck smell. You can definitely feel it. And you can feel the heat too from the surrounding area from the fumaroles. So that makes it a little more potent. But it is just an amazing area just to see all the different colors of the ground, everything like just bubbling and hissing around you. So you can hike the mountain. I recommend if you have time. The sun came out for us when we got there. So we decided to hike. And again, it sounds like hiking a huge mountain. You're just climbing the hill for about 20 minutes, the same as the volcano before. There's a path on the right side and a path on the left side of the field. You can choose either one. The right side is more mellow, and you go up and you can see the whole area from above, which is an amazing view. And then you can make a loop, climb down the other end, and go back to the parking lot. But that, I think, is the main attraction of this area. It's probably one of the better knowns, other than the Mevata nature baths, which you can go there next, or you can save that stop for the next day, which I would recommend that.
Okay.
So we did not have the next day, so we ended up going. But knowing what I know now, you definitely need more than 2 days in the north. So
Right.
skip the bats for now and keep going. Go up to the Krafla volcanic area. Just keep going. You're going to go by the power plants and you're going to go up to another volcanic crater. It's called Viti crater. And that one has a bright blue lake at the bottom of it. And it's very picturesque. And as you drive, put in one more location in your GPS. I didn't, so we drove by it. I saw it, but I don't have a picture of it. It's called Krafla Shower. It's this lone standing shower in the middle of just a field. People actually were showering there. It's supposed to have hot water coming out of it. It's just like one of those oddities that you just don't see anywhere else. So that's definitely something I would say. Put in Viti Crater and Krafla Shower as a stop in your GPS so you don't miss it. I missed it totally, and there was just no place to stop on the way back to get back to it. So the crater is, again, another cool place to see. It's very easy. Go to the parking area. Actually, it's not a huge lot. And just stand on the edge. You can walk around. We didn't, but you can walk around the whole perimeter of the crater. And then the last thing I would recommend, which we didn't get to, we ran out of time. It's a lava field, and I will try the name of it. Lair Newcore lava field. It's a huge field just literally 2 minutes from the crater. Supposedly, I will confirm once I get there, I will be returning to the north of Iceland. But from all the accounts that I've read, you definitely want to stay on your marked paths because it's still hot from the 1970s volcanic eruptions. And you don't want to just step on the hot lava, but you can still feel it steaming and active. There's a short path for about an hour, I think, and then there's a longer loop you can make for about 2 hours. We just did not have that time in the day anymore. So that's something that I would do on your second day and then in the area in the north, and then just drive back to Akureyri for your second night. You can also stay in other places closer. I just feel like Akureyri is just one of the bigger ones where it's the equine accommodations. There's not that much to choose from in that area as it is on the south coast. So you have to book those early, especially if you want to stay in a guest house more in the area of Lake Mývatn or in some other smaller towns. There's just not that much there. So you would have to book way in advance. We had a great little apartment called Saga Apartments in Akureyri. It had everything we needed, and it was very centrally located. It even had parking for a car, which doesn't happen very often. So I recommend that. So that's another long, busy day. Feel free, if you're making plans, to even slow it down even more. But you definitely need a day to drive that loop to get the whole experience. And then if you have another day in the north, that's when I would maybe explore Husavik. And if you're going to go for a whale watch, that is
Okay.
still on my list. But a whale watch is a great thing to do, especially that it's a whale watching capital of Iceland. A lot of these companies have these traditional wooden boats with hot chocolate and cinnamon buns included. And a lot of the times, just a ticket from that tour gives you discounts on other places, restaurants to eat. And actually, Husavik has its own geothermal spa, fairly new as well. It's called GeoSea. We actually did go there. It's very nice. It's a spa looking out directly into the ocean. So it's a really cool place to be. So you get a discount on the ticket for that as well. Maybe do that in the morning. You can do either GeoSea or you can do the Mývatn baths in the afternoon just to relax after all this sightseeing. I will say if you don't like the sulfur smell, go for the GeoSea because Mývatn baths also smells.
Okay.
It's not anything that is a negative, but it is there. So I didn't mind it. My son had to really stay away from, there's a little, like a fuming spot where the smell comes from, and he had to be well away from there. He just could not wait to get out. I know some people are sensitive to that. So if that's that, then maybe go to the GOC. But that about wraps up the north. And then you
Excellent.
just have to decide how you're going to go back to Reykjavik. You can either drive back through the highlands if you like that. You can follow the ring road back. You can take a flight back. Or if you have an extra day in your itinerary, you can go off to the side a little bit. Go east towards another domestic airport in a town called Egilstadir.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you would have to fly from there because the drive back to Reykjavik is just going to be very long along the south coast unless you just power through it. Or you can just do it as a side trip to Studlagil Canyon and Modrudalur Farm, and then go back to Akureyri if you have an extra day in your itinerary. That's what I would recommend, and then just drive back to Reykjavik or fly back to Reykjavik. The canyon is amazing. It has the most basalt columns in the whole Iceland. It's a short hike, very beautiful. It's also known for bright blue waters of the river. I have to say the river isn't always bright blue. When we got there in late August, it was not blue anymore. I think earlier in the summer, we have more chance of it being actually that color. And the farm, Modrudalur Fjalladur, I believe it's how it's pronounced, maybe. It's just the most amazing place that I've seen. Stumbled on it by accident. We had to rebook our one night accommodations to get a little closer to where we needed to be in the right direction. And I literally found it on the map. I'm like, let's see what's there. And the farm was there. It's the highest inhabited farm in Iceland. It is the most charming place I've been. And they have a fabulous restaurant. It's called Keflavík. That actually is open till midnight, which, as you may know, Icelandic restaurants close early. So this is the one place that if you need a snack late, that's the place to be. They have excellent food, coffee. There's animals there. They have turf houses. It's just a really cool place to see. We were lucky to spend one night there before we headed out to the canyon, and we kept going on the ring road. But it's about an hour from the Mývatn baths to give you an idea. So not a bad side trip. You can either then fly home from Egilstadir, or if you want to drive back, you would have to drive back to Akureyri, I feel would be better, and then back to Reykjavik. But that's the north. That's the gist of the north for you.
Excellent. Before we get to our wrap-up questions, anything else
Yeah.
we need to know before we do this itinerary?
I would say if you're going to drive through the highlands like we did,
Mhm.
if you're going to do your research in the winter, the GPS won't let you see the road because it's not open until mid-June. So you have
Okay.
to, don't get discouraged. It will get open. There is a website, road.is, where it will give you the actual opening and the status of each road in Iceland. So that's a
Got it.
good one to check for the opening. But you basically just have to trust the blogs and the online information until the road opens, unless you manage to put your leaving time in Google Maps for the summer, which I don't know how far in advance you can do that. But even now, I was trying to check something and it just was not having it. It just wasn't doing it. So that doesn't mean you can't get there. It just means that the roads are not open in the summer. Those roads are only open mid-June-ish to mid-September. So that's the thing. Also, when you're driving the Diamond Circle, you're going to see the turn off and the sign to the Mývatn Baths. You're going to actually drive past the Keflavík geothermal area. It's very tempting to just do it all that one day. I would stick to the route because that makes it easier to see everything in some sort of a logical order. But other than that, no, it's a fairly easy area to visit. It's just, I don't think it's known well enough for people to know what's there to actually see.
Excellent. As we get to our wrap-up questions, you are
Mhm.
standing in the prettiest spot
Mhm.
in either the Highlands or North Iceland. Where are you standing and what are you looking at?
Oh, so for the Highlands, it's easier. For this route, that's definitely one of the hills at Kerlingarfjord, the Hveradalir geothermal area. That is just an amazing area. Whichever hill you want to stand on, you're going to be in a very beautiful spot. In North Iceland, I would say the top of the Namafjall mountain, where you look at the geothermal area below you, that is just
Okay.
out of this world. It's like you're on another planet. Either one, you're going to be happy.
One thing that makes you laugh and say only in Northern Iceland.
Oh my goodness. I would say only in Iceland. It's not only in Northern Iceland, but the sheep. That makes me laugh anytime. That makes me smile. They just go. You have to be careful. Actually, that's another thing to know when you're driving with F-35, when you're driving in the Highlands anywhere, and actually anywhere in Iceland, but on that road, they own the road. They will go there, and we literally laughed, and you're not supposed to honk at them, and you're supposed to inch your car towards them to let them know you're trying to pass. But that one group just was not having it. So we ended up having to honk, and they looked offended. Yeah, only in Iceland. You literally see the sheep they are so sassy. They just are very independent. My kids are laughing at me. I love Icelandic sheep. It's one of my favorite. So yeah, they make me laugh. Only in Iceland, you see the sheep on the road and they just are just chilling.
Interesting. Now I see that Iceland only has 1.2 sheep per person. We were recently talking about New Zealand that has over 7, but
Oh my
that's
goodness.
still a
I
lot
might
of
have
sheep.
to go. Still a lot of sheep, yeah. And they just roam free the entire summer. And then they round them up in September and they return to their respective owners. Yeah, it's very cool.
If you want to go to the place with the most sheep per person ratio, you go to the Falklands, apparently, which has
There you go.
200 sheep per person.
See, you learn something every day. You're giving me new destinations to travel to.
And if you had to summarize the region that we just talked about in just 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
Remote, because it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
different than the populated areas of the touristy areas. Remote, surprising, because it's surprisingly beautiful. And I would say geothermal. There's something hissing and bubbling in every place you turn, whether it's a natural hot pool or a spa or it's just, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, no, it definitely seemed like a region that if you weren't interested in geothermal, this may just not be the region for you.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you are, there's quite a number of the places that you were looking at were interesting.
It has its own beauty. It's not the fairy tale like South Coast beauty. It's different, but I find it very beautiful. It's intriguing. I guess that would be the word
Excellent.
for it.
Our guest again has been Monika from planpackexplore.com. And I've been looking at a number of your blog posts. I like the fact that your Iceland page circles regions. And so it's easy for me to find which region we're talking about. Is there one particular post that you would send us to?
Yes, I think I would send you to my post about the Lake Mývatn area attractions because I feel like people just tend to drive by that area or past that area without stopping. There's just so much to see there.
Excellent. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Monika, thank you so much for coming on Amateur Traveler and sharing with us your love for Iceland.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a great time. Thank you.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Thanks go out to the patrons of the show who help support Amateur Traveler financially. I'm enjoying doing this as my day job, and I appreciate their help. And if you're interested in supporting the show, you can learn more by going to patreon.com/amateurtraveler. Since the last episode, I put out a post on the whitewater rafting trip I did in the Grand Canyon, and so you can find that at amateurtraveler.com, and that includes some videos of the whitewater as well as some pictures of the experience. So if you missed those from the podcast episode, go check out the blog. I've been traveling a lot. I am just back from southern Quebec and from Quebec City there for the TBEX conference, my 28th conference. This is a travel blogging conference that I have been to many times, and I'll be posting an article about my trip. I've already posted some hotel reviews at hotel-scoop.com, which is the other site that I own. There are still spots available for the 2026 trip, amateur traveler trip to Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. You're going to hear more about Turkmenistan coming up here in a few weeks. And with that, we're going to end this episode of Amateur Traveler. If you have any questions, send an email to chris2x@gmail.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at amateurtraveler.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening.
I got to see one more.